Welcome, friends. I'm Yvonne Davis, author, astrologer, and life transformation coach. And welcome to my channel where I do general astrology and political astrology. So as you can see, I've returned to my humble beginnings, but I'm going to take this as an opportunity to make a very quick announcement, which is that I know many of you who've been with me for a while know that I was working on a master's degree, and this was basically my side hustle while I was in school, and I thought I would be teaching in the fall, but turns out graduating in July and then trying to get a teaching job for the fall was not realistic. So my YouTube astrology business has now become my #1 priority for my work, and I will be working it full-time now. So, and I'm actually really excited about it. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. I'm sure you've seen, I've been putting up more videos, and I'm really enjoying it. So, so just wanted to let you know that there was that slight shift, and also that because I'm not going to be locked down to a specific location, I'm actually going to be nomadic during this time. So you'll be seeing lots of different backgrounds. Some of them might be kind of plain, others will be very interesting because I'll be traveling. So while I'm on that topic, I think there was something else I wanted to mention, but anyway, if it comes up, I'll mention it. But for now, if you are interested in a private reading, click on the link below or email me at admin@yvonnedavis.com. Also, many of you have been signing up for on my Patreon, and I've been uploading more videos on Patreon because there you get advanced viewing ad-free. So one thing I'm curious about, any of you who have become patrons, if you want to give me any feedback, like are you receiving notification, because I've never done Patreon, so this is a learning curve for me. So any feedback or suggestions you have, feel free to offer them. And those of you who have not signed up, if you're interested, please go to my Patreon page. The link is below. And like I said, I'm going to be uploading a lot more videos there that will be advanced viewing ad-free. Another announcement, I just remember what it was, is that I am going to start doing at least one political video every week. Now, I may do more than that, but I'm promising you at least one political video every week. And since I'm going to be doing that, I'm also going to schedule it for every Friday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So those of you who are on my channel because you love my political astrology analysis and interpretations, you will be able to come every Friday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time and find a new video, okay? So I know a lot of you are going to be excited about that. All right, so let me go ahead and turn to the topic today, which is, as you can see by the title, the finger of God, also known as the finger of fate, and the karmic drama triangle. So I'm making this video because one of my subscribers asked me a question about it, and I tried to answer in the comments and also put a link to a page where another astrologer had given some kind of definition. But I saw a finger of God alignment this morning, because every morning when I get up, I look at the alignments, and it was right there. So I'm like, whoa, this is great. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that chart so that you can see what that looks like. All right, so, okay, first, actually, let me start at the top so I can show you this. This is for today, September 25th. And this, even if you're looking at this after September 25th, doesn't matter. I'm just doing an analysis of the boomerang yod so that you guys can understand whenever I use that term, what am I talking about? So this is just like a general teaching video. But since I'm using it for September 25th, some of you may actually find this activated in your charts. So I set this for 8:20 a.m. Mountain Time because, like I said, every morning I look at the alignments because I want to know what's happening in the sky. What's the cosmic weather? And I just happened to open up this morning's chart, and this is what I saw. So this is let me first explain what this configuration is that we call the finger of God. Now, it starts with something called a yod, and a yod is this blue arrow, okay? That's why astrologers call it the finger of God, because it's pointing. I don't use that term for this 3-point yod, and on the 3 points right now are Mercury at one point, and then you go across here, across this blue line called the quincunx, to the third, well, I actually should start over here at the moon at the second point, and then another blue line. This is a quincunx. And then both of them are pointing to the third point, which is Neptune. So that's the basic 3-point yod. So if you ever hear me talk about a yod, that's what I'm talking about. Now, a boomerang yod is much more complex because it also has an opposition. So you see this red line through the center, and the fourth point is Mars. So that's a 4-point boomerang yod. I only use the term finger of God or finger of fate for that 4-point yod because it's much more rare. Yods are actually very common. They show up all the time, so I don't make a big deal out of them. But the 4-point yod, which we call the boomerang yod, or finger of God or finger of fate, is much more rare and much more powerful. So that's why when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. I'm gonna, give you guys a little lesson on what this means. And so, again, some of you may actually see it showing up in your life because of the fact that this yod is in the sky right now. Okay, so first I'm going to start with how an astrologer might interpret this boomerang yod, otherwise known as finger of God or finger of fate. And it's very karmic. So the first thing I would look at is, what is it pointing to? It's pointing to the planet Neptune. So then the question is, what is the energy of Neptune? Neptune is all about spirituality. It dissolves anything that's binding us. It dissolves that. And it calls us to release and to let go. Because it's spiritual, it wants us to see that the spiritual realm is what's real. Ultimately and fundamentally, the spiritual energetic realm is what's real. And all of this that we're seeing and experiencing is an illusion, okay? It's Maya. And what we tend to do is we tend to cling out of fear. And Neptune says, hey, you got to just release those binds, release, let go. Free yourself from being bound by this illusion. Why would we be here if it's all an illusion? I think the answer to that question is there's something we're here to learn. This is a school for our souls. It's all about soul evolution. And so I'm not suggesting that we don't value this experience, absolutely. And when I say it's not real, what I mean is that what's real is the soul connection that we have to other people. What's not real is anything we could possibly be attached to here. Even people we love, sometimes we need to release them in this, what I would call the linear time space bound reality. Okay, but always remember that we are connected to them on the spiritual plane. So even if we release them in this material plane, we're always connected to them in the spiritual realm. Okay, even if both of us are alive. So I'm not talking about people who've died. We still have connections to people who've died, that spiritual connection. But even people we know in this material realm, we're also connected on the spiritual realm. Okay, so it's sort of like if you were in a play, and you're on stage, and it's all happening on stage, and then behind the curtains, backstage, it's like your souls are back there watching the show, and you may even be holding hands behind that curtain backstage. You may even be doing a dance back there together, your souls. entwined, dancing, holding hands, whatever. Back there, you know, you have a loving relationship with that person, even if on stage you're fighting with them. So always remember, or if you're estranged from them or whatever, that does not mean that behind the curtain backstage that you're in a battle. You're not. You're just doing a beautiful dance with them back there, okay? And your souls love each other. I can promise you that, no matter what it feels like on stage. So that's what Neptune is trying to teach us, is to see the illusion and to release it, because it's only fear that causes us to cling. And it's making one of its quincunxes to Mercury, and Mercury rules the mind. So it's the way we're thinking about this particular situation that may be alive in our lives right now. And so it's the way we're interpreting and perceiving the situation, how we're thinking about it, how we're processing it in our mind, in our thoughts, and how we're communicating and expressing that inner reality to the world. And then the other point on the yod is the moon, and the moon rules our emotions and our subconscious. So in other words, it's our thoughts and feelings about the situation. And Neptune is telling us to release the way we've interpreted this situation. We may even have to release the situation or person itself. So then the fourth part of the yod, this boomerang yod, is Mars. And so Mars is either the person you need to release, or the situation, or an organization, or if it's purely energetic, then it would be something like a core belief that you have about this situation. You need to release that, okay? The story you have about the situation, you need to release that. Maybe it's some anger you have around the situation. You need to release that. So if by chance you see what I am talking about showing up in your life, you're probably on the karmic drama triangle. And what that is there are 3 points on the triangle. One is the victim. So if you're in a situation right now that sounds like what I'm describing, and you may either be the victim, or the persecutor, or the rescuer. That's the karmic drama triangle. Sometimes you're just one of those positions, sometimes you're two, sometimes you can actually be all three. So if I'm describing anything that sounds like your life right now, you are, your chart is being activated by this finger of God, boomerang yacht, okay? So I can't know if it's activating your chart without looking at your chart. So if any of you think, oh my gosh, this is really happening in my life, you may want a reading right now, because this is incredibly karmic, and it's calling you, to these karmic lessons. And once you do the lessons, then you move into healing. So, so it's really important to become more conscious about these dynamics, because it's notifying you that you have some karmic work to do. So again, if you want a reading, you can always contact me at admin@yvonnedavis.com or go to the link below. So I want to give you a little more detail about what this particular yod might be telling you, okay, if it is being activated in your chart, in your life. And also it gives you kind of an idea of how an astrologer goes about interpreting these alignments. So let's go back to Mars. Now, Mars is the masculine yang warrior male energy. Sometimes it actually will manifest as a man in your life. Okay, so what this is saying is, if this is actually manifesting as a man in your life, it's telling you you need to release that person. Now, releasing is always energetic, but sometimes releasing will also require that you actually allow yourself and this other person to depart the relationship. Okay. So I don't know which that's going to be for you. I don't know if it's going to be an actual cutting of ties or just energetically cutting of ties, but the energetic is actually the most important. So once you energetically release that person, often that relationship, that person will just like sort of vanish from your life. They'll drift away, they'll depart, they'll leave because you've done your karmic work. Okay. So Neptune at this point is telling you, you need to let go. You need to release that person, dissolve the bindings between the two of you. Usually bindings are an indication of a fundamental fear. We cling out of fear. When it's time to let go, when you really get that, it's incredibly liberating, and you will feel it in your body and in your emotions, and you'll know it's the right thing to do. If you're having a hard time releasing that person, it's because you're clinging out of fear. Fear, when we cling, is often an indication that we're not connected to abundance, okay? Because I can promise you, if there's a man in your life you're challenged to release, it's because you think you'll never, whatever that person brought to you, you think you'll never find that again. If it's love or support or whatever, help, whatever that person provided for you in your life, a sense of self-worth, validation, I can assure you, you can meet those needs elsewhere. And if you're clinging, it's because you don't believe that, but I know it's true. So, so again, it's how you're thinking about the situation. It's the way you perceive it, the way you interpret it, the way you think about it, the way you process it, how you communicate that story to yourself and other people. You're locked in that story. And Neptune is saying the story is just an illusion anyway. So, and again, it's also about your thoughts and your feelings and your subconscious around it. Now, sometimes Mercury can actually also be, can manifest as a person, but still it's mostly manifesting your thoughts in the situation. And again, the moon might be a person, usually female or a mother figure, but it's mostly just reflecting your feelings and your subconscious around the situation. If it's not a man, again, it could be feelings of anger that you, like resentment that you've been harboring, and feelings of anger, maybe even rage around that. Again, that's tied to fear. And again, if it's not just an emotion or a male person, it can also sometimes represent an organization. So if there's an organization in your life that you see that you're on a drama triangle with them, then they've got some kind of, they're projecting some kind of energy that is representative of Mars energy, the warrior, masculine warrior yang energy. Okay, so like the military is an organization that has that energy. Police force. So if you're having if you're in a drama triangle with a branch of the military or with police or anything like that, then that's how it would manifest as an organization. It can also manifest as a situation. So again, you're going to see in that situation these things at play and this masculine warrior energy coming through. So so an example of how that might be a situation is, let's say you got in a car accident, or because Mars has that. Mars also, because it's the warrior, fiery, yang energy, can also sometimes manifest as a form of violence, so like an accident. Or maybe you were in a situation where you were violated. Maybe you were physically attacked or something like that. Could also be a verbal attack. So if it's not represented by a specific person or a specific organization, it could just be the situation that happened, that felt violating, that felt abusive, and you still are, maybe you're still harboring some anger and resentment and rage around that. Okay, that's how. So I just want to be clear that that's how the energy manifests. It can manifest as a specific person, as an organization, or as a situation, or just simply your feelings that you're harboring. And all of this is telling you it's time to release this, to get off that karmic drama triangle. Okay, so that's how I would interpret it. Now, if I was talking to someone and looking at their chart, I would also be looking at the houses that it's falling in. So just to give you an example of how I would interpret this kind of alignment, the next thing I would do is I would look at the houses. So Neptune is falling in the 6th house, which rules the body. It's our outer work in the world. So it's our work, daily routines, body, like any kind of the way you feed your body, diet, exercise. Even if you're not on a diet and exercise regime, it doesn't matter. If you lie on the couch and eat a bag of potato chips, it's ruled by the 6th house. And sometimes pets too are in the 6th house. So anything having to do with that subject matter, like maybe it would be a work situation as an example, or maybe it has something to do with your health as an example, because it's in the 6th house. And so it's talking about releasing in terms of this situation and where it's taking place. Maybe something about your body, maybe something about work. And then Mercury is in your 1st house of self. So it would also be tied to how you think about yourself, the story you have about yourself. Do you have a story about yourself where you're a victim in the situation? Or are you the persecutor? You're demanding that someone behave a certain way. That's the persecutor, because you're saying that other person is wrong. Or the other way it could manifest is that you are the rescuer. You think you have to rescue someone. You absolutely believe you have to rescue this person. You think you don't have a choice. And then up here, the moon is in the 11th house, which rules friendships, social networks, and communities. So if it were manifesting, if this energy by chance manifested as a person or a group of people, it could manifest as a female friend, or someone who has feminine energy. Like it could be a man who's very empathetic and sensitive, or could be anyway. You kind of get the way that an astrologer would interpret it. If it was the moon in the 11th house, that they would start to ask you, could it possibly be related to a friend? Is this person female or expressing a feminine energy, or could it be a group of people, like maybe a church or some other kind of organization, where, like maybe in a church, you might have the experience where you're being persecuted, that people in the church are judging you, or somehow you feel like you have to give more of yourself than you're willing to give, then you would be in the victim mode. So, so there you can see how that interpretation would unfold. And then Mars is in the 12th house. The 12th house is ruled by Neptune, so it's all Neptune issues. It's the house of spirituality. It's the house of things hidden, but it also is the house of the shadow. And when you're in the shadow, and if you're on the karmic drama triangle, I can assure you, Mars in the 12th house would absolutely be representing shadow issues. And again, I mentioned how it might manifest as a particular man, organization, situation, or feelings. But if it's in the shadow, what that means is you have some shadow issues that need to be brought up into the light of consciousness in order to be alchemized and metabolized and integrated. Okay, this is very complex alchemical transformation that occurs. And sometimes when I speak the language of alchemy and transformation, people don't understand what I'm talking about. The best way I can explain it is, if you have some deep, deep wounding or trauma from the past, it is definitely getting activated in this situation. And that's what I mean by bringing it up to the light of consciousness, so you can begin to work with that material, begin to heal and transform that trauma and that woundedness. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I hope that that was helpful in terms of understanding how this configuration plays out, how an astrologer might interpret it. But again, the most important thing is, how is it activating planets in your chart, okay? Because just because it's in the sky doesn't mean that everybody's experiencing this. If it's activating something in your life or in your chart, then you will be experiencing this. And maybe not exactly the way I described it, but that would give you some clues. You would look for something that that sounds like what I've just described. If you have been listening to this video and you're just like, your jaw's dropping because I've just described a situation happening in your life, then I can promise you this is activating your chart. It's activating your karma. So all I can say is, do with that what you will. And again, if you want a reading, all you have to do is email me at admin@yvonnedavis.com, or go to the link down below, click on it, and scroll down. You can see how to sign up for a reading, and then I'll contact you. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. I just love this stuff. Absolutely love it. And I love sharing that with you. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment boxes below. I do my best to respond to everyone. I definitely read every single comment. I can promise you that. I can't always respond personally to every single one, but I definitely read every single one. And I do my best to respond to every single one. So other than that, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click like on this video, ring the bell for notifications. Again, I do some general and some political. So if you're looking for the political, just check back every Friday around 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and you will find that video, because that's when I'm going to upload every week now. All right, so I think that's about it, and I hope you enjoyed this and hope you learned a lot. And I wish you all the best if you're dealing with a situation like this. I know it can be really extraordinarily difficult and painful, and so I do wish you all the best, and I will talk to you soon.